What's up, my wives? It's your boy, Salty Salt. Have you ever been sitting on the toilet taking a shit and you suddenly ask yourself, what am I really afraid of? Of course, we all have our fears. The fear of how Manchester United has been performing in recent seasons, fear of your wife, fear that your kid is making friends with some total stranger on Roblox, fear of constipation, fear of hair, the fear that you'll lose your job and the glamorous life you've just built will collapse like a house of cards. So today, I'm gonna tell you about every single human fear. Go find something in your fridge that isn't moldy yet and have a snack while you watch. The fear of death, or thanatophobia, is the universe's oldest bug that was never patched. Somewhere between 3 and 10% of the world's population is actively terrified of their subscription to life expiring, which honestly sounds a little low. The rest are probably too busy doomscrolling to contemplate the void. This existential dread has a creepy cousin, necrophobia, which is the fear of dead things. You know, zombies, skeletons, that one forgotten container of leftovers in the back of your fridge. Most people get a little jumpy around a corpse unless their job involves it, but for some, even a picture of a cemetery is enough to make them want to hide. It's why everyone thinks they'd be the hero in The Walking Dead, but would realistically just scream and trip over a lawn gnome. Of course, our ancient monkey brains didn't stop at fearing the dead. We're also hardwired with a primal fear of certain animals. Zoophobia is the big umbrella term, but the two greatest hits are ophidiophobia, the fear of snakes, and arachnophobia, the fear of spiders. For millennia, getting bitten by one of those meant a game over screen with no extra lives, so the panic is baked right into our DNA. Our ancestors passed this wisdom down, never anticipating that their descendants would one day have to face an even greater threat, seeing a spider in the shower when you're already late for work. From the ground, we look to the sky and find acrophobia, the fear of heights. This isn't just getting nervous on a balcony. We're talking full-blown panic attacks from climbing a stepladder. While some people are out there climbing skyscrapers like they're Tom Cruise, about 5% of the population would rather face a whole nest of those spiders than stand on a second-floor deck. The polar opposite of looking up is staring down into the abyss, giving us thalassophobia, the fear of the deep sea. It's the chilling realization that below the waves is an alien planet full of creatures that look like rejected Guillermo del Toro monsters. What we can't see is terrifying, which also explains phasmophobia, the fear of ghosts. We've never seen one, but that's the whole point. Our imagination is way better at directing horror movies than anyone in Hollywood. The world gives us endless ways to be scared. Claustrophobia makes you terrified of being trapped in tight spaces like an elevator or a Spirit Airlines seat. But then there's agoraphobia, which makes you fear wide-open spaces like an empty parking lot where you're pretty sure a slasher is hiding behind the one other car. And let's not forget megalophobia, the unsettling fear of massive objects. It's that deep, primal unease you feel when a gigantic cruise ship silently passes by, reminding you how tiny and insignificant you are. To top it all off, there's agoraphobia, the fear of crossing the street. For anyone who has ever tried to cross a 6-lane highway in Atlanta during rush hour, this isn't a phobia, it's just common sense. Beyond the fear of the physical world is the even more treacherous landscape of other people. Take anochlophobia, the fear of crowds. This isn't just disliking packed spaces. It's a genuine panic response to being in a mob, whether it's at a music festival or a Walmart on Black Friday. It's the logical conclusion your brain reaches after realizing how many people don't wash their hands. This scales down into the more personal horror of social phobia, or social anxiety disorder. For these folks, a simple trip to the grocery store feels like preparing for a presidential debate. Every interaction is a high-stakes performance where they're convinced they're about to be booed off stage for saying "you too" when the waiter tells them to enjoy their meal. This fear of others can get incredibly specific, like with androphobia, the fear of men. Given the whole recent internet debate about being stuck in a forest with a man versus a bear, it seems a lot of people have made their choice, and it's the one with claws and a taste for salmon. When you're constantly worried about what others think, it's a short leap to worrying about your own body betraying you. This is the realm of hypochondria, the fear of being sick. Thanks to the internet, every minor headache becomes a brain tumor, and a simple cough is the start of a rare, incurable plague you read about on some sketchy medical blog at 3 a.m. All this anxiety creates a feedback loop of inaction. Enter decidophobia, the crippling fear of making a decision. People with this condition will stare at a restaurant menu like it's the final exam for the universe, terrified that choosing the chicken will lead to a chain of events that ends in global catastrophe. It's the same energy that keeps you scrolling through streaming services for an hour before just rewatching The Office for the 10th time. This paralysis extends to our relationships. There's philophobia, the fear of falling in love, which is the preferred diagnosis of every emotionally unavailable person on a dating app. It's the terror of vulnerability. That fear can manifest physically with haphophobia, a deep fear of being touched, and even genophobia, the fear of sex. Ultimately, the fear of interacting with people and making the wrong choices often boils down to monophobia, the intense fear of being alone. It's the terror of abandonment, the feeling that without someone else around, you might just cease to exist. In a world of constant connection, being by yourself can feel like a personal failure. And for the grand finale of psychological nightmares, there's the incredibly meta-phobophobia, which is the fear of fear itself. It's your brain being afraid of its own security system, creating a perfect, inescapable prison of anxiety. It's the ultimate cell phone. Finally, we arrive at the weird part of the fear catalog, where the human brain proves it can get scared of literally anything. Let's start with trypophobia, the fear of holes. Somewhere around 15% of people feel their skin crawl when they see a cluster of small holes like in a lotus seed pod or a piece of coral. It's a bizarre, visceral reaction that makes no logical sense, yet it's common enough to have its own viral compilations online. Then there's the fear of things that look human but aren't, known as automatinophobia. This is the uncanny valley territory where your brain sees a mannequin, a porcelain doll, or a theme park animatronic and immediately flags it as a threat. A very specific and popular branch of this is coulrophobia, the fear of clowns. Thanks to a combination of Stephen King and real-life serial killers, the friendly circus performer has been permanently rebranded as a sewer-dwelling agent of chaos. Some fears hit closer to home, like isoptrophobia, the fear of mirrors. It's not just about being insecure, it's the deep-seated dread that something might be looking back at you that isn't you, fueled by every horror movie that ever featured a spooky reflection. Things get even more abstract with chromophobia, the fear of colors. Imagine having a full-blown panic attack because you saw the color yellow. It's a thing. Of course, modern life has invented its own fresh hells. Nomophobia is the very real fear of being without your phone, a condition that probably affects 99% of everyone under the age of 30. It's the modern equivalent of being lost in the woods, only the wolves are your unread notifications. The brain's ability to troll itself is truly remarkable. There's the fear of long words, hippopotamonstrosquipedaliophobia, whose name is the meanest joke ever played. Then you have arithmophobia, a fear of numbers and its more sinister cousin, hexacosiohexaconthexophobia, the specific fear of the number 666. There are also fears that sound like elaborate excuses. Ablutophobia is the fear of bathing, while magiracophobia is the fear of cooking. Meanwhile, pogonophobia is the fear of beards. But perhaps the most telling fear of our time is Fortnite phobia. This is the genuine psychological distress some players feel towards the game, likely developed after being repeatedly and mercilessly eliminated by a 10-year-old with a superhero skin and a default dance. And there you have it, all of humanity's fears. Did you unlock any new fears after watching this video? Did I absolutely nail it or what? Drop your comments below. See ya.